Hello and welcome to the 8th round of the Joel Clay Championship. This week we're racing at Phillip Island. Now, if you didn't already know, I very much like Phillip Island, so as we spawn in there, everybody was having issues. Classic Phillip Island spawning there, causing much trouble, which is fantastic. But I love Phillip Island, so I was hoping if there's any chance of me coming away with the victory in this championship, it would probably be here. But as we went into qualifying, just on my my best lap here at the end, as soon as I started on the first lap, I knew that it wasn't going to work out as I planned. The balanced performance on really not working out for me. As soon as I tipped into turn 1 on my first outing, it didn't feel right. The brakes are so odd as I completely mess up the Honda hairpin there. It's really irritating. The braking markers with balanced performance on are just ever so slightly forward of the normal braking markers that you would use on balanced performance off. So you still have to use the same marker, but just brake a fraction early and turn in at a slightly different point. And I find it extremely off-putting with the amount of laps I've done around here over the years. I feel like I know the track really well, but jumping onto the balanced performance was not feeling good at all, and I was worried. I really wanted pole position, but it's not looking good here. We're just under a tenth down on Joanne's time as we come across the line, squeeze into 4th again. We're on the point A as Carlos takes a fantastic pole position, extremely close at the front. Everybody within a tenth or two of each other, but yeah, I was really hoping for the pole position, but it wasn't to be. I wasn't dialed in at all. I needed to have some more feel with the balanced performance on. But a fantastic 6th position to Nacho there, 3/10 away from pole position, which is stunning with the level of quality in this lobby. Ellie Ghost wildcarding, and he is certainly gonna be a challenger for the win. We move on over to the race. I was given the task to prevent Carlos from taking the championship at this round, but that meant I had to beat him. That is an extremely difficult task, but we're off and away, and I got a good start straight up into 2nd. I got a great launch. I'm in a grand position here to do something into turn 1. Change down, get a really nice sweeping line, just touch Carlos there, just check that I haven't murdered him. He's okay. So we come through turn 2. Ellie Ghost comes up the inside, gets a wobble, I get a wobble, and we just turn into each other, and he is extremely unlucky, and I'm extremely sorry that he came off there. That was not good at all, but fortunately for me, I think for the one occasion in the whole championship, I have a collision with somebody and I come off the better rider for once. Normally it's me falling to the ground, but I did apologise to him after the race, and he totally understood. He agreed it just was a racing incident. He had a wobble. It's hard to see from my camera angle, but you can see it better from other people's perspectives, where he had a wobble and he just started understeering wide after the wobble. I had a wobble and started turning in, and our two lines clashed, and unfortunately he went down. But I am in an amazing position here, leading the race. Never has this happened before, and I just, as we come across to complete the first lap, I just check the map and see that I've got a little gap over the field, which is just what I want. As we come down through the 2nd lap into turn 1, I knew that now I'm in the lead. This is my chance. I can just run my own pace, and I felt pretty confident. But going through turn 2 there, huge wobble on 2nd gear. That's how I normally take it, but for some reason there no grip was to be had here, and as I come through into Honda hairpin, using my normal braking marker, I go horribly wide. I was incredibly lucky that Carlos and Suitho behind were battling, and none of them went through there, but that was my warning sign right there. Doing what I wanted to do was using my normal lines, pushing, was not going to work in this race. So at that moment I thought, okay, let's calm it down, take it easy, not take any risks, brake a bit earlier than usual, just to make sure I get all the apexes. But yeah, I was slightly irritated that I didn't feel at one with the bike at all. I really wanted to push as much as I can to do some fantastic lap times, because I feel really confident around here, but with the balance performance on, just wasn't feeling it at all. So yeah, but moving forward here onto lap 3, I've pulled a gap even more so, which is fantastic for me. And at this point, this is where I thought, okay, I've managed to pull a gap. Let's take even less risk, just to make sure that I can manage that gap. It's so difficult to catch up to people on this game and to overtake. So with about a 2-second gap, I was just making sure, just checking the map, checking the splits, just trying to keep it around 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, just to make sure that nobody caught me up, because it's so difficult. I knew that just running my own lines, making no mistakes, people behind would have great difficulty in catching. But yeah, you can just see they're just slightly pulling away from Joanne, which is what we'd like to see. And Ellie Ghost has already moved up the field. I think there are a few issues behind, which was, well, he was extremely unfortunate to come off the bike, but also I think he was slightly fortunate in there were many incidents behind, and he was able to quickly move up the field despite having that early crash. And I think he's already having a nice little battle with Joanne there. But moving forward here, Carlos has a crash on the curb, I believe, and that is exactly what we need to prevent him from winning the championship at this round. I'm not going to be able to win the championship. It's still, I'm too far away, but it's nice to keep the championship alive for another round, for the sake of it, as Big Twin sadly has a crash there. But at this point, again, I'm just making sure that I'm not doing anything silly. Cruising round seems seems like the wrong thing to say, but I'm certainly not trying to go for it here, as Ellie Ghost has moved into second place. But you can see the gap now up to 3.6 seconds, and I knew that the only thing that could stop me from winning at this point was a silly mistake, a crash. So I was making sure that wasn't going to happen. I know that if I try my best, that I can pretty much go round all day long, and that was the plan, just to cruise around all day long, make sure that I just came home with the victory, just putting in mid 24s every single lap really. Wishing the laps to be counted down, just to end the drought, just to get the win. But you can see here in turn 2, this is what I mean, having to shift up early to third gear because I had no grip at all in second, which is what I practiced with, and it was totally fine. And that's just costing me some time, but it doesn't matter because I've got the gap. But as you can just see there, Suitho unfortunately has a crash. It's not looking good for him, as Carlos and Ethan, we can see battling there. Carlos trying to move up the field after his unfortunate incident. But yeah, moving on to the final lap now, I saw that with the split I was about 3.5 seconds behind Ellie Ghost, and I knew I could drop tons of time in this final lap. I could afford to, so I was really taking it easy, tipping into turn 1, just making sure I'm as far away from the curbs as possible. They're the danger zone really. You don't want to tip into turn 1, touch the inside curb. That's not going to work out very well as we shift up early into third to get the traction. You don't want to have a silly slide and high side. That would not be good. Braking really early into here to make sure I didn't go wide, too close to the curb really, but it didn't matter at all. Just it's all about staying on the bike, taking it really easy with the braking zones. As we come through towards the end of the lap, can I take a victory? Not a very exciting race, but certainly an enjoyable one, because I've always wanted to lead the race. I've always thought if I've led or had the opportunity to lead a race that I'd be able to come home with the victory. The way that this game works is leading seems so powerful, and I know that with nobody around I can be extremely consistent. Not going anywhere near that outside curb. They're not worth the risk. I know what they're like, but coming across the start-finish line for the final time, I wanted to do a Kel Crutchlow style wheelie, but that wasn't going to happen. So it's a wiggle across the line, and unbelievably, I know, I've taken the win. It's incredible. I couldn't believe it had happened, but it has, which is really pleasing after many races with many incidents. I have finally managed to do it. A great comeback from Ellie Ghost, I must say. A great podium from Joanne, and Carlos recovered well to fourth. And a few people sadly got a bit frustrated, I imagine, and rage quit, which I was slightly worried about when I saw these names popping up at the top, because I know that with big lobbies that if you leave, it can cause the lobby to crash. So I was thinking, no, after all of this, I'm in the lead, I've got this in the bag. If somebody causes the lobby to crash, I'll be devastated, but they didn't. And there we are, a win. This probably will never happen again, so I'll certainly enjoy the moment. But yeah, not the most exciting race in the world, but certainly a very satisfying one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed finally seeing me win a race, even though it might not have been the most entertaining video. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.